From Stoicism Breath. Real strength begins when you learn to trust that you can handle whatever comes when it comes. That trust is not built in your head. It is built through experience. Through walking into the unknown and realizing it did not destroy you. Through facing discomfort and surviving it. Through living through things you once feared and discovering that you are still standing. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to act anyway. It is showing up for your life even when your mind tells you to stay hidden. It is choosing movement when anxiety says freeze. It is choosing presence when worry says run. You do not owe your anxiety every moment of your day. You do not have to answer every what if. You do not have to solve every possible future. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply breathe. Be here. Let the thought pass. And it will pass if you stop feeding it your attention. The more you anchor yourself in the present moment, the quieter anxiety becomes. Not because it disappears, but because you stop giving it the final say. And that is all anxiety ever needed to lose its power. Your permission. So take it back. Return to now. Let the rest unfold in its own time. Here is a truth that can change everything. You are not your emotions. It sounds simple, but it takes a lifetime to learn. We have all been there. Caught in waves of shame after a mistake. Swept up in fear before taking a risk. Burning with anger when someone crosses a line. These feelings can be so intense, so overwhelming, that we start to believe they define us. Shame makes you feel like you failed as a person. Fear whispers that disaster is right around the corner. Anger tells you that you must fight back. And suddenly, emotions do not just pass through you. They become you. But emotions are not facts. They are signals. They point towards something deeper happening inside you. When we treat feelings as truth instead of messages, we let them control our actions, shape our choices, and decide our worth. Our world teaches us to chase happiness and avoid discomfort at all costs. But what if the goal is not to escape emotions? What if the goal is to learn how to live with them without letting them define you? What if sadness, anxiety, and anger are not weaknesses, but signs that you are alive, that you care, that you are human? If you have ever felt overwhelmed by emotion, you are not broken. You are human. You are experiencing the full range of what it means to be alive. And that is not a failure. That is an invitation to grow. This does not mean you will never feel fear or sadness again. It means those feelings will no longer run your life. You learn to let them come and go like clouds in the sky. They are still there, but they no longer decide your direction. You do. That is where freedom lives. Not in a life without negative emotions, but in a life where emotions do not control your thoughts, actions, or identity. It is easy to get lost in how you feel. Easy to believe that what you feel is who you are. But the truth is, you are so much more. Your emotions are part of you, but they do not get to tell you who to be. You do. And when you realize that, you stop being a victim of your inner storms. You stop reacting and start responding with clarity and intention. That is when your life begins to change. Not because emotions disappear, but because you rise above them. You are not weak because you feel anger, fear, or shame. You are human, and that is a gift. Real power comes when you understand that emotions are signals, not commands. When you realize that you are the sky, not the storm. In that moment, you reclaim your peace. You reclaim your power. You reclaim your ability to choose how to live, even in the face of adversity. That is where true strength begins. So much of our suffering comes from one illusion: the belief that if we try hard enough, we can control everything. We try to control people, their reactions, their opinions. We try to control our thoughts, forcing them to be different. We try to control the future, rehearsing every possible outcome so we can feel prepared. But here is the hard truth. You cannot control all of it. No matter how much effort you give, some things will always be beyond your grasp. The weather, traffic, a careless comment from a stranger. What you can control is how you respond. And that choice, made moment by moment, is how you build a calm mind, a steady heart, and a resilient life. This is the path we walk together here on Stoicism Breath. One breath at a time. One choice at a time. Returning to the present. Learning to feel without being ruled. And discovering that peace does not come from controlling life, but from trusting yourself to meet it. From Stoicism Breath. Here is one of the hardest truths to accept, and also one of the most freeing. Most of what happens in life is not yours to control. Yet we spend so much of our energy trying to hold on to people, outcomes, situations, and futures that never belonged to us in the first place. And in doing that, we exhaust ourselves. The ancient Stoics understood this deeply. They lived through wars, plagues, and the collapse of empires. And still, they taught something simple and powerful. Control is an illusion. The moment you see that, you stop wasting energy on what you cannot change and start investing that energy where it actually matters. The Stoics did not chase control. They chased clarity. They knew that the only things truly within your control are your thoughts, your actions, and your responses. What someone else says is not yours. How they behave is not yours. How the world unfolds is not yours. But how you respond to it all always is. It always has been. And it always will be. Once you take responsibility for your response, you gain access to your greatest tool, your mind. Because your real power is not in controlling the world around you. It is in how you relate to it. This shift may seem subtle, but it changes everything. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable and focus instead on what you can influence, you begin to feel a freedom you may have never known before. We are taught to believe we should be able to fix everything, our work, our relationships, our future. But as long as you chase control over things that are not yours, you set yourself up for frustration and burnout. Traffic jams will happen. Rude people will show up. Delays, misunderstandings, and disappointments are part of life. But your response to them, that is the one place where you have complete control. That is where your power lives. The choice is always yours. You can react and let the world push you around. Or you can respond with intention, even when everything feels chaotic. You are not powerless. You have simply been spending your power in the wrong direction. If you allow the outside world to dictate your emotions, you stay trapped in stress and frustration. But when you reclaim that power and turn inward, focusing on your thoughts, your actions, your reactions, something shifts. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start becoming the creator of your experience. With practice, you begin to realize that the external world does not have to decide your inner peace. You can walk through storms and stay calm. You can face chaos and remain grounded. When you let go of the need to manage everything, you make space for peace, clarity, and wisdom. The key is simple. Stop resisting what you cannot control. Start focusing on what you can. And what you can control is how you respond. That is the shift from being at the mercy of life to becoming the architect of your own experience. Once you understand this, even small daily annoyances change meaning. Traffic becomes practice. Rude comments become training. Inconveniences become opportunities to master your response. You stop waiting for life to give you permission to feel peaceful. You stop believing that one day, when everything is perfect, you will finally relax. There is no perfect moment. There is only now. And in this moment, you already have everything you need to choose differently. When you focus on what you can control, your mind, your actions, your reactions, you start living on your own terms. You stop letting external events decide your happiness. Instead, you begin creating your own peace. This does not mean ignoring difficulties. It means recognizing your ability to rise above them. So stop wasting your energy trying to control everything. Turn your attention inward. That is where your power has always been. Mastery of the mind does not happen overnight. It is built slowly, through small moments, tiny decisions, and subtle shifts in how you respond to life. One breath at a time. One choice at a time. This is the path we walk together here on Stoicism Breath. From Stoicism Breath. We often think change requires a dramatic breakthrough, a massive transformation that happens all at once. But real change does not work that way. Real change begins with the smallest steps. It starts when you stop reacting on autopilot and begin engaging with your mind in a conscious, deliberate way. You do not have to fix everything today. You do not need to solve all your problems at once. You do not even have to transform your entire mindset in a single moment. What you need is one simple choice. A choice to pause instead of react. A choice to take a breath before you speak. A choice to notice your emotions instead of letting them control your actions. Every small choice matters. Every mindful moment builds on the next. This is not about perfection. It is about progress. And progress begins when you stop fighting your emotions and start seeing them for what they truly are. Fear will show up. It always does. It does not ask permission. It does not announce itself. It slips in quietly. But when it arrives, you do not have to run from it. You do not need to outrun the feeling. Instead, listen to it. Let it speak. Ask yourself, why am I afraid right now? What is this fear really about? You may not control the fear itself, but you always control how you meet it. And when you stop fleeing from fear, you begin to take away its power. You do not have to act on every fear. Sometimes simply acknowledging it is enough. The same is true for anger. Anger, when ignored, can push us to say and do things we later regret. It rises fast and urges us to react without thinking. But what if instead of exploding you paused? What if before letting anger control your words or actions you stopped, breathed, and reflected? That pause is where real transformation happens. Anger, like fear, is a signal. It is your inner world telling you that something needs attention. But it is not an order to act recklessly. Anger can become a source of wisdom if you choose understanding instead of explosion. When you allow your reactions to run your life, you live unconsciously. Fear, anger, and anxiety make decisions for you without you even realizing it. But the moment you choose to pause, to observe, and to respond intentionally, you take your power back. This is the moment you stop calling your life fate. This is the moment you reclaim your mind. True power is not found in controlling every thought or emotion. It is found in recognizing them as they arise and choosing how to respond. This is where mastery begins. Not in eliminating negative emotions, but in learning to sit with them. to understand them, to act from clarity instead of impulse. You do not need to stop feeling fear, anger, or anxiety. You need to stop letting them run your life. Emotions are not commands. They are signals. And when you learn to observe those signals without reacting right away, you give yourself space to choose better. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. It is like building a muscle. Each time you pause, you strengthen your ability to respond instead of react. Each time you choose awareness over impulse, you create a new habit. And over time, those small habits turn into lasting change. You do not need to wait for a life-changing event to begin. It starts now, with one moment of awareness, with one breath before you react, with one pause before you speak. That is all it takes. And as you practice this, something remarkable happens. Your life begins to change. Not because the world changes, but because you do. You start seeing life differently. You start engaging with it consciously instead of living on autopilot. That is where real power lies. Not in controlling everything that happens to you, but in choosing how you meet it. Mastery of the mind is not about pretending you never feel fear or anger. It is about understanding that these emotions do not define you. They do not control you. They are simply part of being human. And when you learn to observe them, when you learn to pause and choose your response, you step into your true power. So remember this. You do not have to fix everything today. You do not need all the answers right now. All you need is the smallest step toward mastery. One pause, one breath, one conscious decision. In those small moments, you will find the power to change your life. You shape your life not by controlling everything around you, but by choosing how you respond to it. Every moment you choose awareness over reaction, you are not just changing your actions. You are changing your destiny. This is your journey. This is your growth. And it starts with the smallest shift. Thank you for being part of Stoicism Breath. Keep growing. Keep choosing. Keep living with intention.